right. Welcome back to another Wright Stew podcast. I am Paul Stewart.
And I am Brian Wright. I have no idea what day it is. I do know it's been a minute. And it's just life, man. Life catches up to you at some point, and you legitimately, either one of us or both of us, and both of us a lot of times, it's just not been time to do the Wright Stew podcast.
Yeah. So Brian's got a high school senior. I got kids coming back from college. We both got baseball and lacrosse and coach pitch and just a lot going on. And we've still been talking every day. And maybe we just need to record our conversations as this podcast was originally intended.
Yes.
Maybe we just start recording our phone conversations.
Well, you know what, dude? I kind of thought maybe, we'll chew on this at some point, that we could just do like an extended one, like a couple of times a week. It was hard. I mean, I think, 157 days or something that we did almost consecutively? I mean, there was a couple of days. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
We took like Christmas off, I think, and then otherwise we were going pretty strong.
I think we did. I think we recorded in advance for that. I mean, it's really incredible. The guys that do this for a long period of time have people that do all the editing, kind of do all the stuff that just requires additional time, and they probably don't have another job or two to take up their time either. So.
They may be coaching their kids' travel team as well. So hey, let's jump right in there, Brian. We've had a couple of travel tournaments. We got one coming up this weekend. We got a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Here's the big issue this weekend. We got 4 pool games, and then we go into bracket play on Sunday. Pitching is going to become a real issue. And so for our team specifically, I imagine other teams, but let's talk about that holistically. What are we doing in travel sports right now where we're playing 4, 5, 7 games in a weekend potentially in a 3-day period? I mean, the New York Yankees can't do that.
Yeah, I don't exactly. There's several things I don't like about travel baseball. And one is that I would love the idea of being able to play a couple days a week. Unfortunately, your bottom of the roster doesn't get to pitch. I don't like the charging of money because we're to the age now where it make a ton of sense to play 9. But I feel like people are paying money. They need to have opportunities to, get their swings that they paid for, or they paid for their kid. And so, as far as pitching wise, you have to pull in guys either through your organization or outside of your organization. That's the only way you can remotely do this without the one we're playing in this weekend. I mean, I was reading the rules. They're like, hey, it's on you, basically.
Oh, yeah.
You do whatever you want. If you want all of your kids to throw 100 pitches or back-to-back days of 50 and 50, you do whatever you want, which part of me likes, and part of me, because we're going to do the right thing regardless.
Yeah.
But, I don't know if that's really the best thing, because I think there's clearly been coaches that needed to be restrained that would have thrown their kids 130, 140 pitches.
We've even seen it. A couple of years ago, we had a kid who played in he was selected to play in some all-star thing, and they wanted his money is what it was really all about. And he threw like 70 pitches one day and like 120 the next day or something crazy. And
it was something where it was like 150. It was way too, maybe way too much. I don't know. It feels like way too much. I do think there's probably too much pitching off of the mound and not enough just throwing. And then you get that max effort competitive situation. It's really hard to pull the kids back. You have to pull them back, though. I think we have a pretty good balance, but that sometimes you're just looking for a kid to throw strikes, and you feel like that kid that's just throwing strikes. Heck, he probably could throw 100 pitches or 120 pitches because he literally he's like a MLB guy, position player. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and we'll keep you all updated how the old team does this weekend. But we're excited for it. It's kind of a fun challenge for Brian and I to kind of puzzle that together. And the one factor that I think we probably take into like a professional level or a college level is we don't have the depth, right? Because we only have 12 kids, and then we're looking at arm care as well and trying to take care of everybody. So it is kind of it's a stressful puzzle, but it's a fun puzzle, and ultimately, we'll figure it out and make sure everybody has a lot of fun. So,
hey, speaking of puzzles, me and you were talking last night, and I haven't watched. Obviously, your daughters play college or play softball in college, and so I get pulled into that world really because of you. But I was watching the Texas Tech World Series game last night.
Yeah, game one of a 3-game set. Yeah, absolutely. Good game, man. Good game, ruined by challenges, seemingly super confusing calls, and then one of the strangest plays you might ever see in a ball game, right? So we'll start with I think challenges by the intent of the law or what it is like, let's get the call right, which I appreciate. Let's get the call right. How many games would have been changed growing up, right? Had they done that, right?
Somebody would have a no-hitter. Yeah.
Yeah, Armando Galarraga would be the perfect game history book. But the first one, and this is a play we've talked about, the obstruction call is one of the most confusing just calls in baseball and softball right now. I've seen it called, the same play could be called 2 different ways.
Maybe 3. Don't even know the third way. Yeah.
By 3 different groups of umpires or officials or whatever it is. And it's, I'm not throwing the blame on the umpires for this, because they're trying to do what's written, but the language needs to be changed, or the intent of the rule needs to be considered, I think, because the one last night was, the girl had like the front of her foot in the running lane, and they said she was obstructing the base. I don't know how you catch them. I played shortstop as a kid growing up. I don't know how you catch the ball and can't. I know how you can do it, but if you're legitimately trying to tag somebody out, you've got to have some. And
I may not know the rule. The announcers, and they bring in this person who, is supposed to be a rules expert.
Yeah, official, yeah.
And the rule was supposed to be you cannot be obstructing the base if the person gets sliding without the ball.
Yeah.
So the girl starts her slide super early because she's going to be out by at least 2 steps, if not 3 steps.
Yeah.
And then the ball comes.
Yeah.
And she's still, she made it to the base, but she just, you can slide for probably 12, 14, you can slide a long ways. These girls can move. They're good athletes. And boys obviously would be the same way. And it's just like, I don't know, the verbiage needs to change. It's really stupid. It's an embarrassing. I was pulling for Texas Tech because they're clearly the underdog. That coach came from Louisiana. He's got a good story.
Yeah.
You probably know it better than I do. I just call business and pieces of it. Obviously, the pitcher for Texas Tech is a stud. She's getting millions of dollars, hitting bombs, striking people out, literally $1 million. And so she's got a pretty good story. And then, Texas reminds me, if I'm being honest, Texas reminds me of North Carolina as a institution. And so Texas Tech feels a lot more like an NC State or something else. And so my inclination is to pull for Texas Tech. But after they got screwed, I found myself kind of being indifferent, kind of pulling for Texas. And then the next phenomenal play happens.
So Texas. So they're intentionally walking. So Texas Tech strategically is trying to intentionally walk one of the Texas hitters. And so the pitcher's throwing the ball. And we're watching as a family. Like, man, the first one she threw was probably a strike. But the catcher's standing up, and no umpire in their right mind is going to call it a strike, right? As the umpires or as the catcher standing up. Second one she throws is out. The third one she throws is close. And then the fourth pitch, which should have been ball 4, the Texas girl swings. And that's with a couple runners on base. So there's runners on second and third, and they were trying to walk her to get the bases loaded to, have a
and basically Texas has 2 really, I'm sure they got a bunch more hitters, but 2 girls that were kind of hot. This was one of them that was hot. And so they're second, third already. They're up 1-0. We're in the 6th or 7th. We're late in the game.
They're down 1-0. They're Texas.
Yeah. You're exactly right. Yeah, I said it wrong. They were down 1-0. So this girl slaps the ball in the 5 hole, scores 2 runs, and that's the game.
On an intentional walk, yeah, which is wild.
But, they've taken that out of baseball, right? Because now you can just put them on without any,
And see, that's where I like having to play the game. Like, we talk about all these speed up rules, all these things. That's the kind of thing people will talk about that play forever. Legitimately, that's one of the it's the pinnacle of the women's season, and that play happened. That's going to live in a world. And
this has happened in MLB. Can you recall?
I remember Miguel Cabrera. It happened to him.
Okay, I knew you probably could pull. I remember visually seeing it and thinking that's crazy, but I could not have began to tell you.
Yeah, I know it happened with Miguel Cabrera. It's happened a couple other times as well, but again, like it's such a weird, as a pitcher, it's such a weird pitch to throw as well, because you're taking a little bit off. You're throwing it to an area that is either way outside of either the right or left hand batter's box that you normally don't throw to. I remember I used to practice this pitch. Every bullpen I throw, the last 2, I would throw a couple pitch outs just to at least say that I've done it right, so it wouldn't be completely foreign. But it's an odd pitch, and clearly for Kennedy last night it was.
And you can have we've had a couple situations in our middle school.
Give us this rule breakdown, Brian.
And so this is where you can have a legitimate catcher's balk. Like, the catcher cannot leave that little box until the ball is released. That's a legitimate catcher's balk. Yep. We have this one particular umpire in middle school baseball that says the catcher cannot stand up and just stand straight up and obstruct the umpire's view. If he does, that is a catcher's balk. And he called it on us, I don't know, one game. I got frustrated. I was chirping a little bit, but we were up so much it wasn't worth the heat. And then they called it on the opposing team, and I just turned around and laughed. I was like, "Why are we, dude? There's so many little real rules in baseball, like 1.4, 0.2. You can't do this or whatever. We don't need to be making up more." Obscure rules that like, how are you supposed to do? What if he throws a high fastball? This is what happened. The opposing pitcher just threw a fastball that was high. The catcher stood up to catch it. And now we're not dealing with, 4'5" kids anymore. A lot of these kids are 5'8", 5'10". And so when they stand up, they block adults. Yeah. And so he stood up, caught a catcher's balk, let our guy advance to third base from second base. And it's like, dude, it's just absurd. But a legitimate catcher's balk can be when you're doing the pitch out. If you step out before the pitcher releases it, it can be a legitimate catcher's balk. But my man has completely fouled up the rules and just making them up as he goes.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of things that are foul, Brian, the Colorado Rockies.
Oh, gosh. They are foul.
12-50. On pace to set the record for most losses, all the whole thing. But they're on a 3-game win streak. They won their first series in a long time. I mean, what is that? What is that like in a clubhouse when you're 12-50?
I don't know. I kind of think
that
would be really. I think what would be really interesting.
12 games.
What would be really interesting if we had what's it called? Relegation? Relegation?
Relegation. Yeah, relegation, like soccer.
Yes, it would be really interesting if they wouldn't do more or something different. Like if the bottom team in the MLB had to play AAA the next year.
Yeah, I think conceptually it's pretty interesting.
But I know it can never happen.
There's no way it can happen because everybody's a legit organization, right? But
I can't imagine. I'm sure at some point you become. The good thing about baseball players, and you know this, and I think it's helped in life and probably hurt me in life at times, but you're able to compartmentalize.
Yeah. Right.
And so you go up there and every day it becomes I would imagine it becomes a very selfish clubhouse where, hey, I've got to figure out how to get my hits and get my work in or be able to show that I can still play or give myself a chance for next year, whatever the case may be. I know they have a handful of guys that are well established. They've actually, I was looking, they had drafted some pitchers that seemed like they could have come up and helped them early. It's just a really difficult situation, but they're not pitching at Coors or on the road. So clearly somebody's missing something there, considering how many good college pitchers there are that feel like could come and help really quickly. It's a really, I can't imagine. Have you ever been, I didn't play long enough in the minor leagues to really experience this. Have you ever been in a situation like that?
Not that bad. I mean, I think I was on a couple of teams that finished in last place, but we weren't like 50 games out at the break. We were, within, I would say within striking distance, but we weren't like a laughing stock. Like, we didn't. We had guys.
What's the most games you guys lost in a season on a team that you spent most of the year with?
Oh man, I'll look it up and let you know here in just a second. But it wasn't like 100 losses.
You weren't losing 100 games or 90 games.
No, nothing like that at all. But it was a couple last place teams. While I look that up, Brian, I want to hear some thoughts. So since we've last podcasted, we've had the regionals of the men's baseball.
Oh,
we're now to the regionals. Give us some overall thoughts. Some of the stuff you saw that you liked, some of the stuff that you saw that you didn't like. Maybe some things that surprised you. What do you got on that, Brian?
First thing, obviously, it's a little bit of vested interest with my daughter going there to play lacrosse, but Coastal is freaking good. Coastal is a legitimate. I know they're a mid-major, but in baseball, they can compete. They built this little. They got horses. They got guys. I don't see how they don't lose guys. There's a different conversation. I just heard how many guys are in the transfer portal from the top 10 school or a handful of schools, and the numbers are really high and really crazy. But we'll get to that next. But Coastal is really good. They play the right way. Chipper Jones famously kind of got blew up on Twitter because he was saying that. I recognize that too. They don't chirp. They hit home runs. They jog to first base if they know it's gone. They run hard. They don't do all kinds of crazy movements when they hit a double. They may do a little bit of, you got this one, you got the big wiener one that they do sometimes. You got some different ones that people do and enjoy, but there's been the SEC is out of control. The SEC is about like softball, beer league softball. Guy hits a bomb. He chirps at the guys in the dugout. He's running around the bases, giving the peace sign. I saw a guy hit a bomb and do the too small sign, like he's a basketball player, done the too small, like he with his palm down to the ground below his knee. And it's like, I don't know, man. Part of me likes it because it forces emotion, which sports in and itself is entertainment. And if you can feel emotion, it adds to the entertainment factor. Me as a baseball guy thinks it's garbage. And most of the stuff that kids do nowadays is garbage. And it's not really respecting your opponent. It's not respecting the game. It's not doing it like you got to act like you've done it before or knew you were capable of doing it. And so Coastal's really good. Florida sucks. That's Sullivan. Obviously, he's at Clemson when I was at Clemson and didn't have any interactions with him.
Give us the Florida stuff. What's your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, the Florida situation. I mean, they moved the game time back because ECU and Coastal played so late. He flips out about it and berates everybody from grounds people to NCAA officials to
like the SID or associate director.
Yeah, like an assistant SID. I mean, just everybody, and it's on video. To the guy, I should know the kid's name, that had his leg cut off in the boating accident, and plays for ECU. And I don't know, college sports, I guess, is still one of those places you can have this kind of egomaniac attitude and function successfully in society. And most places in the world, there's some humble pie around the corner. And baseball's a humbling game, but he is just completely disrespected everybody. Clearly, probably a really good coach. I was really surprised, like if you got on Instagram and different places, how many people were still defending him. Hey, he's just standing up for his guys. He's just fighting for his guys. That's the best baseball coach in college baseball. He's one of the best baseball coaches in college baseball. And all I think about is, man, there's going to be some guys who go play professional. There's going to be some guys here or there that go make it to the MLB. But, man, a lot of these guys are going to have to go function in normal society. And there's something to handling a situation that is not working in your favor with some class and some dignity. Really, character, in a lot of ways, is identified and kind of exposed when you are stressed. That really shows who you really are. And he kind of showed me he's kind of a perpetual child. And you kind of see this in college athletics. A guy who has never done anything professionally outside of sports doesn't really know how society works. He's been protected and babied because he's had great success as a coach. And in real world, outside of college sports, you couldn't do this in professional sports. He would have been fired. There would have been somebody eating his ass if he'd have been acting like that. Yeah. You couldn't do this in the world that me and you live in. Yeah. Hey, there's times that we have to eat some humble pie, and it's not even really our fault as sales guys, right? And we're just trying to, do the right thing. Yeah. He's never been in a real world environment, and nobody has never had the power over him to have like real consequences because he's had success as a coach.
Yeah, and ultimately, well, in the SEC in a lot of places, if you're winning, yeah, some of those warts are overlooked, and you can be a bully, and you can be throw temper tantrums and do all that sort of thing.
I'm for bullying, but you got to have other bullies to bully the bully, right? Like, I mean, again,
in check.
Yeah. There's got to be somebody who keeps him in check. There was a grounds crew. I guess it's a grounds crew guy who just took it like a man, and the guy's chirping at him. He's MFing him, pointing at him, and dude. I can take a lot of things, but when you start pointing at me, even as a 45-year-old who has matured and mellowed a little bit, dude, I just don't know how well I would have taken that. I mean, I don't know. Have you saw the entire videos?
So I watched most of it. Yeah, I saw what I could see. They took a lot of it down. Like a lot of it. It was a whole lot tougher for me to find than I thought it would be. So if that's how he's treating people when. I'm sure he didn't think cameras were on, but that's how he's treating people.
He knew players were there. He knew people
there was players in the dugout. There was players standing all around. How do you think he's treating his players behind closed doors? Like, what is he saying to them? What is he? And again, like we've all seen that. Like I know we all haven't, but maybe that like the Augie Garrido where he's dropping 75 F-bombs per second and some of that's a little bit old school, but it felt like Augie was just getting on the players to get on. Yeah, he was getting on the players, kind of holding them accountable. This felt like just being a jerk, man. Like, it was all about. So if any normal, sane human being looks at that situation, it was like these two teams play till a very late hour.
I think it was like 12 or 1. Yeah,
1 in the morning. We're going to push the game, the start time of the first game of the next day back 1 hour. So his complaint was, hey, we should keep the game time because it's to my advantage if they get 1 hour less of sleep. But any sane person is like, no, that's the fair thing. There's nothing that's holding us back from pushing it back. There's nothing else going on, but it was just, wild. So
just really disappointing because I think about, obviously Florida's a great program. I played with guys that were drafted by Florida, or drafted from Florida, and really good guys before he was there. But I don't know, man. I just, like you said, I mean, we were definitely. College baseball, I think, is still, you went directly to the pros, and I feel like the coaches there talk to you guys like maybe not equals, but kind of equals. I felt like, at least when I was drafted.
Yeah. I mean, not there was clearly a hierarchy, but that was, I think I've shared this. One of the things that flipped me out and blew my mind for the first month, I was talking to my teammates, like, oh, Steve said this, or Bernie said this, or Tom. Steve was our pitching coach. Bernie was the manager. And Tom was our hitting coach. And I'm like, who's Bernie? Like, who's Steve? like, oh, coach? Like, no, we don't call him coach.
No, you don't call him coach. His first name. And so it's very much like a president, vice president when you're in professional baseball. College baseball is very much like dictator and the gladiators, right? You got the dictator or Caesar, hey, doing the thumbs up, thumbs down, and the gladiator responding in this, crazy way. It's a different culture because you don't play as many games. You can play with a lot more emotion because you're playing, 56 games, in the regular season, and you got spacing
the roster.
Yeah, bigger rod. You can do a lot of different things, but yeah, man, it I don't know. I've heard different things prior to this that he was kind of a schmuck, and this kind of reaffirms it. And if you're on board with it, even after seeing that, I don't know, man. I just think about, I'm okay with my kid getting, for lack of better terms, motherfucked if he's not doing the appropriate thing. But there's a way to handle situations, and that's not. I don't know. That's just not the way you handle things in the real world.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of your Carolina Tar Heels,
they're
good. They've made it to a super regional,
so they're going to host, and they probably should go to the World Series.
Is there a team that you like? I mean, we got Carolina playing Arizona, Miami and Louisville, an ACC battle. Florida State, Oregon State should be a good one.
Florida State,
Auburn.
Auburn. Auburn's got horses, man. They got horses. I still think there is kind of a battle of styles. If you watch this now, Auburn is, or really the SEC teams in general, are hitting the 3-run home run. The ACC, for the most part, and there's exception to these rules, but the ACC still plays some small ball, still steals some bases, still bunts. And it's almost like American League, National League from the 80s, the difference in styles. But I would say North Carolina's got a really chance getting in. Louisville's just really gotten hot. They didn't have that great a year in the ACC.
No,
and neither did Miami, for that matter. Miami was like 30 games in, they were really close to 500. And then kind of turned it on and had some good runs and some good series, and obviously figured out a way to win. They've got some future pros there. Oregon State out there in the West seems to always be a very, very good team. But you never know, competition-wise. I'm sure they had a good year and played some pretty good competition, but they didn't play. I would be surprised. And even Arizona. Arizona has some players too, but North Carolina and some of the environments that I think there is a little bit when you're a younger player and you haven't been in these environments a ton, I think there is some advantage to playing into some hype and being able to control that adrenaline, being able to control your mind. And so I think there's some real home field advantage. There was clearly NC State's splits between home and away, jumping back to them, were significantly different. At home, they could beat, I would say, anyone, and did. I mean, swept Clemson. Yeah, away, legitimately could get beat by anyone, and did. But I think about I think this may be the year that UNC wins it. Yeah, like legitimately wins it.
Yeah.
They've got two pitchers that will play high levels professionally if they stay healthy. I mean, I really think they'll play in the big leagues. I mean, they got their Friday night guy and Saturday night guy, I can't remember names, are legit.
Yeah. Any semblance that you want to pull for the University of Texas at San Antonio Roadrunners as like the supreme underdog here?
I find myself, because the SEC, almost like football, in basketball now, gets so much love. I find myself pulling for the ACC. And then obviously, if there's no conflict, you pull for that underdog. And separately, I'm gonna pull for Coastal. I'll pull for them, and I'll pull for the ACC. And it's hard for me to pull for that baby blue, but I will pull for the baby blue.
There was the SEC got 13 teams into the tournament.
And how many are left out of this 16? How many are left?
They've got 4 left. So it's Auburn, LSU, and then Arkansas and Tennessee play each other. So one of them will be in. But the
Tennessee is one of the more unlikable teams. Again, just everything that I hate. You hit a single and you're doing some type of goofy sign. You're taking off your armor off everything. I mean, probably wearing towels. When did towels become a thing? I've seen it all the way down at the middle school level.
We saw it last
wearing
week.
Towels.
So I did I did ask the umpire. So typically when Brian and I are coaching, I coach first, Brian coaches third, give him all the heavy, important decisions over there.
Well, you tell me if you want to do something. Sometimes, hell, I think you just tell the kid if you want to do something. But yeah.
Yeah, well, half our kids can't remember the signs anyway, I think. So they're going on their own anyway. But no, they're good. They're good. But I usually chat the first base umpire pretty good. And so we had Ray. We had Ray out there at first, the second game we played last week, and he older guy, 71 years old. Do you know Ray was 71?
He looks good.
Looks good. 71. Looks good. And we were talking about the kid walked up with the towel, and I was like, dude, what? I was like, what is? He's like, I don't know. I was like, can we tell him to take it out? He's like, yeah, if you want to. He's like, because if it hits him, it's a hit batter. I was like, all right, so we're gonna start doing that then. Just getting the kids to take the towel.
Oh, yeah. I mean, why don't you just put a tail on? Why don't we pretend like we're furry?
So for the folks who haven't seen it yet, just Google towels and baseball, towels, travel baseball, back pocket, something like that. And
oh yeah,
it looks like legit. It looks like a ponytail is what it looks like, just coming out of the
out of their butt. And then in the other pocket, they have their sliding pad that they'll wear out into the field just in case they need it into the field sometimes when they're playing defense. And it's like, just in case, I want you to know I've got this if I need it. It's
it's crazy.
Dumb.
Yeah. So hold on. We got a couple more things to talk about, but I got my records, Brian. So worst record as a team, the 1999 Stockton Ports that I played on, we were 57-83. So not great. 57 on that team. I was 10-11 personally. So I was doing okay. That was the year that got me onto the 40 man. And then I pitched terribly the next year, was off the 40 man. Best team I was on, the 03 Pawtucket Red Sox, 83-61.
Oh, solid.
Yeah.
Hey, I want you to hold that thought. Paul Skeens this year. Have you seen any of his stuff?
I saw he pitched 8 innings of 1-run, 3-hit, 1-run ball, and took the L.
So he's like 4. I think he's 4-6 or 4-7
with like a 2.06 ERA.
Yes, it's like he could end up well below 500 and have a below 2. I mean, he's dropped that arm slot down.
Yeah,
and his ball is from he is like the modern day combo of like 90s pitcher that is really trying to paint. There's been some sequences that he's put together where he is painting and he's throwing 99 and his ball is running. There was a time, and that time is well past me, but there was a time where I thought, man, I would love just a hit, right? I mean, you know, even after I was hurt, there were spells where my body felt good, and that time was well past me. I don't know what you do against this guy, dude, because he can throw that front hip, almost Maddox 89, run back over two seam. Oh, yeah. He's throwing at 99 with a new gun, so 95, 96.
Yeah.
And then he can throw that sweeper that moves forever. He's got a legit changeup. That's a little bit hit or miss, but it's mostly hit. Yeah, man. I mean, even if you're not throwing with that velocity, that arm slot was always so tough.
So he's not staying in Pittsburgh for his whole career.
For his sake.
I'm gonna go ahead and look into the magic ball. I'm gonna shake my magic 8 ball and say he's not staying in Pittsburgh when he becomes a free agent. All right. So
but that's still probably another 4 or 5 years.
I think there's 3 or 4 left on his original.
Because out of college, they have your rights for 5 years. Out of high school, unless this has changed, they have your rights for 6 years.
So are the Pirates better served trying to legitimately build around him, or are they better served trading him and just getting picks or players or just ride it out until the end of his contract and let him
I've heard this thrown around, and to me, the only thing that makes sense is you're planning to have it. Say there's 3 years left. Say the rest of this year is the 4th year, and he's got 3 years left. And I think that's right. For the next 2 years, you're really trying to build around him, but you're not going to lose him for nothing. You're going to get somebody that's in a situation when he's got 1 year left, or maybe less than 1 year, and you're going to see how much of the farm somebody will give you, because he's probably worth, his next contract is probably 4, 5, 600 million.
So he's eligible for arbitration in 2026 and will become a free agent in 2030. So he's got some time left.
That's what I'm saying. 3 years. I mean, if you're Pittsburgh, they've got some pieces, dude. They got some pieces. Man, and they're just not quite. I think there's 3 years you're really trying to build around him, and then after 3 years, so in 2028 or so, you're starting to have those conversations, and then probably by 2029 you're gone, because there's only going to be about 4 or 5 teams that are going to be willing to pay, as long as now there is hey, then we got something on the horizon that could really change the game. I mean, there's a potential work stoppage coming up after this year, I think. Yeah. And so if that happens, it could reset. Who knows what happens with that? I'm sure some of these teams are begging for some type of salary cap. And I'm sure there's some other teams that want like a salary bottom.
A minimum, yeah, baseline.
But, you got basically well over $1 billion that the Dodgers have in liabilities out there from contracts. And then you got other teams that, not even $100 million in a year.
Yeah.
And so you're talking 10% of certain teams versus, I don't know. It's really bizarre, because I think those teams should have to spend more, but the only way that you're going to force them to spend more is if you put a salary cap and a salary bottom. And I don't think the Players Association is going to deal with a salary cap. They fought too hard to get the free agency. It's worked out for too many people, and we'll just have the haves and have-nots, and we'll just keep going the way it is. I don't understand what could really be. I'm sure there's some type of details. I wonder what the confrontation will be with this, right? What is going to be the holdup with it? Is that it, or is there something that I'm not aware of?
No, I mean, like all things, it always comes down to who should get more money. It's the owners, the players, that kind of thing, right? So that's ultimately what it always comes down to, is who's holding the bigger bag at the end of the day, sort of thing. So, and there can be arguments made for both sides, certainly, but
it's rational. Hey, speaking of rational, I saw Bill Belichick's, his buyout went down to $1 million after June 1st.
Oh, really?
And it was 10 before June 1st, and one. It's just an odd. Do you think he put that in there just in case, like, he didn't like the experience that he was having, to where he could get out? Like, all right, I've screwed up. I don't like this college game. I've got this 24-year-old girl. She's doing what 24-year-old girls do, and good and bad and any different. And why? It's just a weird, like, I can imagine it happening after 1 year.
Yeah.
I don't see, like, June seems like an odd time, because he couldn't go to the NFL, everything's set, but now at least next year, the team just seemed like an odd time to change your buyout. Automatically changes on June 1st.
I don't know. I didn't hit my radar, so I don't know. I'm sure there were some contractual obligations, or there was some reasoning for it. Yeah, maybe that was give Carolina enough time to get a new coach in if he bailed or whatever it was. But I don't know.
Well, they've got a 14. What's interesting too?
Yeah,
they've got a $14 or $15 million salary on their, like, as a team. That's like their salary commitment for this year, I think I've heard, is somewhere between $14 and $15 million for the UNC football. And so,
any idea where that ranks amongst other?
I do not know where that ranks. I think at one time the SEC wanted to put in a $20 million, but I do not know. There was an article that was recently written that identified that number, and I don't know if it's been. I don't know exactly how that number was come to, as far as known. This isn't, unlike a lot of things, these aren't considered. Are they considered employees? Like, does this have to be disclosed? Are they state employees? How is this? Like, all coaches of public university are considered state employees. Are the players considered state employees?
That's interesting. I don't know. Well, the collectives are paying them. I think the collectives are technically private.
But they're changing it to where they're going to be able to be paid through the school, an arm of the school. And in Arkansas, I saw where anytime you give money to a collective, it counts as a tax write-off in the state of Arkansas.
The Arkansas football is about to get better, huh?
Dude, they've got their baseball. I mean, I don't know how much you saw. Dude, it is. Dude, the interest, the fan base. I mean, it looks pretty awesome to me.
Yeah, I mean, what else is there to do in Arkansas, though?
I don't even know. Little Rock. I don't know. I've never been to Arkansas. I don't think.
I've driven through it a few times on 40 on the way to spring training. How many cities can you name in Arkansas, you think?
One.
Nailed it. Well, Bill Clinton made it famous, right? If it wasn't already famous.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Well, you know what? Hey, Brian, great to be back on the pod again.
All right, let's try to get one more. We'll get one more in soon. We'll try to commit to.
It'll slow down for us. We'll get back into a rhythm. It may not be every day. And you know what? We do appreciate. I had a lot of people, and I know, Brian, you did reach out, text, and be like, "Are you guys still alive? Are you?
Are y'all done?" And it's like y'all had no official announcement. I think this is kind of like, the wealthy people like had their little summer vacation, and it's like long. It's like 2 or 3 weeks at a time.
Yeah.
Maybe this just like during the summer. I still feel like in the fall and winter we can be committed to a bit more. But it is this was the last 2 weeks was really our busy season.
It was busy, and we'll get them back out there again. We'll make some things happen. But as always, we appreciate you listening. We appreciate you watching. Make sure you go out there and share this with others. You know what can make this easier? If you all just went out there and shared it with like 1,000 people each, and then we could make this our full-time jobs.
I don't know what that would look like. That's awesome. But you know what, dude? If we could do this, like having to do it after work hours, it's just tough, dude, because just slam with life. It's been awesome.
Yeah, so it's good stuff. So thanks for listening today. We appreciate it.
Out. Go Pack. Go Tigers. Hey, the Tigers are freaking good, too.